Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, September 17th. This is Today in Houston. I'm David Boles.
Good morning, and I'm glad you're with us for our midday show. You will remember that Larry Rasco's on vacation for the week, so I am still holding down this fort.
Hello, everybody. This is Big 2 News at 5.
We'll have more stories with the other news of the day. Bill Worrell talks about the sports. Doug Johnson has the weather. Coming up next.
Hello, everybody. This is Big 2 News at 10. I'm David Boles. And in the headlines tonight,
we're looking for a job.
Yes, we are, and we'd like to go to work for you. On every news show that Channel 2 puts on the air, the folks in Houston see Cindy and me.
That's right, and we do an awful lot of reporting besides. We'd like to show you some examples of our work.
We're going to show you some hard news stories, a little feature material, including some interviews that Cindy did on the news show, and then we'll show you some excerpts of both our newscasts.
First, there was the horror of the tornado. Every description of what a tornado looks like, feels like, it just wasn't enough to describe for these people what really happened.
Cover it up with this tarp again.
Now comes the part of this drama that may be worse than the storm itself, trying to decide what to do first to put the pieces back together.
Going back to your mom and
You want to
dad?
take,
I tell you, this thing must have thrown everything. I mean, there are things over there. There are things all over this neighborhood from this one spot.
Today's work was even more frustrating and difficult than it had to be because of the rain. Everything and everybody got wet. The rain may have helped a little bit in one area. It may have kept the looters away. That and the fact that there were lots of police officers here, no looting has been reported. All the power and gas were shut off in this area last night. Now some of it's back on, at least in the homes where the circuits are safe enough.
get some of the more water around. And that thing, that bottom 350 is broken, so don't get your shovel against it. It's through the insulation right there.
Some people were lucky. Dave Singleton's house was untouched, and so he spent this morning passing out coffee to the folks who weren't so lucky.
I was fortunate. So many of my friends live in these houses that are right in here, and I brought it out for the police officers. They're the ones that have been so nice, and the firefighters.
Cindy Martin, Big 2 News. From South Padre Island, Big 2 newsman David Boles reports on the areas already hit by the black tide.
Oil is floating in the Gulf all down the coast, from Corpus Christi 20 miles down to Maracite Beach. There, it is floating right in front of the surfers and the swimmers and slowly washing toward the beach. The worst stretch of beach covered with oil is not a big tourist spot, but it is a black example of what may happen up and down the coast in the next few months. This beach is 2 miles north of Port Mansfield. It's a black mess, and more is washing in. Large patches of oil are floating everywhere, and black trails lead from the shore for miles out into the Gulf. Padre Island businessmen are calling it the black tide. They prayed it wouldn't come during the busiest month of a tourist season that is worth $40 million a year. But the black tide is washing up right at the feet of the tourists and right at the back door of hotels and condominiums. Vacuums went to work to clean up the blanket of oil yesterday that was 10 to 15 yards wide, 2 to 4 inches thick, and almost a mile long. The tourists were amazed at what was happening to the beaches and to the surf they had been swimming in just a couple of hours before. Few were swimming now.
I think it's terrible. I've been here all week and the beach was beautiful until this morning. There was a few tar balls here and there, but not like this. This is just horrible.
Now, you came all the way down from Houston to enjoy the beach. Does this ruin it for you?
Yes, it has. I was swimming a few days ago in the water. I won't go in there now. There's tar everywhere. You can't get it on. You get it all over your legs. It's terrible. It really is. Beautiful beach room.
Businesses on the island are suffering. The Bahia Mar Hotel is always booked up solid through the summer months. Today, it is only 75% full. The businessmen and women are optimistic they will recover from the oil slick in time for the next tourist season, but the only other industry on the island may not recover for years. More on that tonight at 10. David Boles, Big 2 News, South Padre Island.
That's the meeting when I was in the Senate. That's when Lyndon said, Barbara, what do you think about it?
There's Ramsey Clark.
Yeah, I always did like that picture. I look determined.
All of the pictures and all the mementos and the awards and the desks one from the U.S. House of Representatives, and the other from Barbara Jordan's first law office. And the papers, 417 boxes of letters and speeches. That's Barbara Jordan's past. The present is her job at the University of Texas. She's a professor. The future? Well, a Red Book magazine poll just named her the #1 choice for the first woman on the Supreme Court.
I am pleased that Red Book readers feel that I am the person they would like to see on the Supreme Court, and they feel that a woman should be appointed to the court, but that does not change my mind about the course of action I would like to pursue for my life, and it does not include being on the Supreme Court.
Still in Austin being a professor?
Being a professor, that's it.
Cindy Martin, Big 2 News.
We need to remember, too, that these people are under a great deal of strain. They've been through a traumatic experience. And we want to be very friendly and very comforting to them. And people often, when they've been through this kind of experience, don't react the way they normally would.
Thousands of flood victims need help, and these are the helpers, Red Cross volunteers. Olga Lawson, the supervisor, is giving the workers one last briefing before they begin interviewing folks who have just been through a disaster. Hundreds came to South Houston High School today. The help from the Red Cross is free. All a flood victim has to do is bring a driver's license, and for many, that's about all they have left. Candelario and Sylvia Benitez live off the Gulf Freeway and Scarsdale, one of the areas that flooded the worst.
I thank you very much.
Candelario was helping his neighbors get cars out of flooded streets and people out of flooded homes. And by the time he got back to his apartment, it was too late to save his own belongings.
Okay, what about clothing? Do you have enough clothing to take care of your immediate needs?
No, not right now.
Okay, so you need immediate clothing assistance from Red Cross.
Right.
They're asking for money to buy clothes, but not for themselves, for their daughters, 1-year-old Leslie, and Vanessa, she's 5.
Okay.
That's cute.
Yeah.
In less than an hour, Candelario and Sylvia are on their way shopping.
That's good. Okay.
Leslie and Vanessa will have new clothes, and Candelario and Sylvia also get money for groceries, and the Red Cross will be at their apartment in the next few days to bring new mattresses and pillows. Everything looked so grim just a couple of days ago, but now, better, much better.
No carpet on the floor, water stains on the walls. For those of us who did not get flooded out, we cannot begin to realize how hard it is to start all over. But with the help of the Red Cross and other agencies, it will be a whole lot easier for Candelario and Sylvia and thousands of others. David Boles, Big 2 News.
The National Enquirer is not known for its restraint. It is known for printing stories on the latest fad diets and gossip on the stars and scientific stories that sometimes seem to stretch the truth a little bit. Which brings us to this item. The cover headline says, "Aliens on the moon when we landed." Inside, among other things, the story says that 2 of the Apollo 11 astronauts saw 2 UFOs when they landed, and that one of the astronauts shot film of the UFOs, and that NASA is covering up the whole thing.
I think we've made it very clear that we'd be as interested in anyone else if there were UFOs out there. We'd sure like to find out how they worked, but we haven't seen any.
Jim Oberg is a flight controller at NASA, but he spends his spare time checking out stories on UFOs. He admits he's a skeptic, but he has spent hours checking out this story.
It's a pretty complex story here. Follow me on this now. A few months after the Apollo 11 landing, a Canadian weekly tabloid magazine, and I've forgotten the name of it, came up with a transcript, allegedly from the moon, of the astronauts saying, "Look at the UFOs, they're going to get us." Well, the problem with the transcript is that it was an obvious hoax. In 1974, a Japanese group, the Cosmic Brotherhood Association, and Matsumura, got some film. And one of the sequences was taken as an accidental shot when Aldrin is in the lunar module now. We're about a day before landing, and he's putting the camera in the window. He's attaching the camera to a wing nut, and the camera is bouncing around. The camera is turned on somehow. He doesn't know it. And what the Japanese did was take those pictures, made some stills off them, and there were 2 very bright lights in the middle, cabin lights in the lunar module. The extra glares, they were airbrushed out. They were cropped out. The little globs, those 2 bright lights, were accentuated, contrast enhanced.
Those are the 2 UFOs.
That's the snowman UFO picture.
And from that photo doctoring, it was just a few short international articles away from the National Enquirer. Cindy Martin, Big 2 News.
This is the city, Houston, his beat, Lucky's beat. Lucky is a cop, a customs agent, and one of the best. He searches for drugs. 2 months ago, he sniffed out almost $5 million worth of hashish. That's right, sniffed it out. You see, Lucky is a dog. Lucky's partner is Donnie Brown. They are not just partners, they are close friends. They have had 59 busts in the past 12 months. But Brown knows things have not always been rosy for Lucky. He was an orphan and a bum roaming the streets of New York. He was about to be put to sleep when the Customs Department gave him a job, trained him. Now he's the best cargo sniffer in the state. But Lucky is sick. His partner is worried. Lucky has just been taken out of surgery. I understand he had to have this operation because he was injured when he was a child. Is that correct?
Yes.
He's going to be all right now?
I hope.
April 23rd, 1979. Lucky gets a new hip. Prognosis? Good. Lucky may be back at work in 3 months. He may have a sore hip, but his nose is in great shape. David Boles, Big 2 News. It's hard to find and it's hard to see, but there it is, right there, on the map. Simonton, Texas, right where the railroad tracks cross Highway 1093. It's a quiet town, a couple of stores, maybe a couple of hundred people. Simonton's big draw is its rodeo. Workers are getting the place ready for some foreigners who have heard about but never seen a Texas rodeo before. The bronco busting and the roping will all start tomorrow. Today is work day. Hay for the animals, red carpet for the vice premier, some decorations for the front of the building. It's going to be a big deal. Everybody's going to get some barbecue, maybe. The folks in Simonton are having to send away to Houston for more barbecue to feed the visitors. That's like sending coal to Newcastle. Folks in Simonton are going to get a lot of attention from all this. They don't seem to mind, but they really don't seem to care much either.
Do you even really care whether he's coming or not?
Yeah. I don't know him, so what difference would it make?
So for a couple of days, Simonton will be on the front pages of newspapers and on TV screens all over the world. The attention will be nice, but it's not like it's going to put Simonton on the map or anything like that. It's already there. See, there it is. You go out Westheimer, it turns into 1093. You go till you come to some railroad tracks. There's a blinking light, and there's
I suppose one of the things that we have enjoyed most is watching Star Wars and try to figure out how they did all that stuff in the movie. And now we're going to be able to find out a couple of the things, little tricks. Anthony Daniels was and is C-3PO. How does it feel to be a movie star that nobody recognizes?
It takes a bit of getting used to because, you know, people say, how does it feel to be a star? And I say, well, 3PO is the star, right? Just the guy that goes along and maybe carries the luggage a little. But he's taken me to some good places, so I'm quite grateful to him.
You told me that you're going to do the Muppet Show.
Yes, isn't that wonderful? I mean, wouldn't you just do anything, and I have done, to get on the Muppet Show? So, yes, it's going to be a confrontation between Miss Piggy and I think Kermit might, you know, get a bit jealous.
I'm kind of dedicated to Superman. You'll be delighted to hear Saul Harrison is the president of the company that puts out Superman and Wonder Woman. Who else is?
And Batman and Robin and Aquaman and Green Lantern and Jonah Hex.
Are these things silly? Should parents be worried about reading your product? That's probably not a fair thing to say, but does it worry you that you're rotting the minds of children?
Absolutely not. In fact, millions of readers of comics are the best readers today of magazines and paperbacks and books.
A new survey of the outsiders moving into Texas shows that far more of the newcomers are Republicans than are Democrats. In fact, the latest survey shows that 250,000 of the newcomers are Republicans, while 174,000 are registered Democrats. The survey by pollster Lance Terrence also shows that newcomers to Texas tend to be younger and better educated than in the past.
Finally this evening, we follow what we hope will be the rising star of a young, ambitious TV reporter, Terry Elliott. He is a UT student and he has been interning with us here at Channel 2 this summer. His has been a very glamorous life these hot summer days, making drives to the airport to stand in long lines to pick up packages for us. He has led the star-studded life that comes with carrying what seems to be tons of TV equipment up every staircase in the city. In other words, he has learned the business is not always all it's cracked up to be. Finally, Terry found out there can also be some hazards in this profession as in any other. Here is what happened when he went out to cover his first story.
2 years have passed since Elvis Presley died, and for the fans who came here today to pay their respects to the king of rock and roll, one thing is apparent. The memory of the man will live forever. Terry Elliott. Damn, what are we doing here? Did he ever even see me?
2 minutes after Terry finished his story, the lens fell off the camera. We don't have pictures of that. Terry's on his way to school. We wish him a lot of luck, and we hope you have a good week this coming week. Good night from all of us at Big 2 News.
Big 2 News.
So now that you've seen a little of what we can do, you should know where we came from and how we got to Channel 2 in Houston.
I started in the business 9 years ago at KOMU-TV in Columbia, Missouri. I was a student at the university, and I was pushing studio camera, working in the film room, and I also was doing noontime weather and weekend anchoring.
I also started 9 years ago at Channel 9 Television in Lufkin, Texas. Stayed there 2 years, did everything from push a studio camera to anchoring the sports and weather.
And then after I graduated, I got a job at Cake TV in Wichita, Kansas. I was there for 4.5 years, did everything, co-anchored the midday show, also did weekend news anchoring and producing and film editing and everything for 2.5 years. And then I ended up co-anchoring our 10 o'clock news Monday through Friday. About a year ago, I got the job at KPRC in Houston. I've been doing our midday show and our 6 o'clock news and some reporting on the side.
It was 7 years ago when Channel 2 decided to hire me. They brought me on as a nighttime police reporter, working the all-night shift. It was wonderful. Then after a year of that, they sent me to Austin, Texas to cover the Texas legislature, state politics. And while I was there, I managed to win a few awards for investigative reporting.
Very good.
Thank you. Not long ago, they brought me back to Houston to produce the 6 and 10 o'clock news. And this year, I produced what UPI thought was the best newscast in the state.
I was reading on it.
She was the star, and I was the producer. Not long ago, they decided to make an anchorman out of me, and since then, that's what I've been doing, including producing every news special that Channel 2 puts on the air.
So now you know a little bit about us, and if you want to get in touch and find out more about us,
you can just find our name and address on a piece of paper in the little black box where you got this tape.